All right. Good afternoon.
Okay, I'm on mute. So put my picture on.
Oops. Not doing that. Okay. All righty. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our program. We have partnered with, we are the Wellness Center, and we've partnered with Chef Jay for a wonderful program on indulging for the holidays without doing self-harm or without feeling guilty. So Chef Jay is going to lead us through this time. Feel free to put your questions in the chat, and we'll go ahead and get started. Chef Jay, I did give you co-hosting privileges, so if you need to share anything, you can do so.
Awesome.
The floor is yours.
Awesome. Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chef James Wiggins, and I am one of the instructors here at Prince George's Community College Culinary Arts Institute. We're located on the 202 side of the campus. Beautiful new edifice. It's been 4 years now, 5 years, something close to that. And I want to thank you all for sharing this hour with me as we try to navigate the holidays, right? I understand. All right, so I'm going to start sharing my screen. And, you know, at this time of the year, I'm extremely popular and extremely unpopular at the same time. Why? Because I'm popular because I'm a chef. And I do a fair amount of cooking and hosting events in the DMV area. And I service a range of people and age groups and dietary restrictions and, you know, things of that sort. So I'm popular because I make great food, but then I'm unpopular because I tell people what I'm going to tell you at the very end. I'm not going to bust your bubble right at the beginning. All right. So let's get into it. Holiday eats, how to indulge responsibly. All right. I'm Chef James Wiggins. My IG is chef_JAY_WIGS. I want to take this time to thank the Wellness Center for having me. This is my second time with you all, and it's always a good time. I am as good as my audience. So please give me the questions that will help you and your family get through this time. All right. Now, let's get into our first slide. The first thing we have to do is let some of our old habits die hard. All right. And feel free to jump in at any time. I see the chat. Who's monitoring the chat? Feel free to jump in whenever you want to with a question. All right, some of the old
I am,
habits.
Chef. I have the chat, and so far people are just putting in their email for attendance.
Awesome, thank you,
If a
dear.
question comes through, I'll be sure to send it to you.
Outstanding. Some of the old habits that we have to let die hard. One is using pork products as seasoning. Okay. Two, using heavy salt seasoning. The Mrs. Dashes, the Lowry's, and there's so many others that are salt-based, and then they add the seasonings or the dried seasoning around it. Another old habit that we have is the use of butter in everything. And then the last one, can anybody identify with this? I know my grandmother did it a lot. She put a teaspoon or more of sugar in almost everything that we ate. Okay, and that develops your palate in a certain way. Salt and sugar develop your palate because habits are what we're used to. Have you ever made something, thought you seasoned it perfectly, and when you served it to someone, the first thing they did was pick up the salt and pepper? That's a habit. They didn't taste it. They didn't know if it was seasoned well, but they knew that they needed that salty taste on the back of their tongue. And we have to break away from those things. Why? On the right-hand side.
Chef, there is a question.
Yes.
There's a question from Demetrius who asked, is Himalayan salt bad too?
Himalayan salt is better. Why? It's less processed. It contains less sodium, and you don't have to use as much of it. If you've ever noticed, Himalayan sea salt comes in bigger chunks. And when you first started using it, Demetrius, you probably oversalted something, because that salt, when it, all salt does this, but when that salt hits the warm food or whatever, it really dissipates and permeates through the food. So you may have been used to shaking, a fair amount of salt, and you may have done that when you first started using Himalayan sea salt, like you use regular salt, and you oversalted it. You don't have to use as much. Its pink color means that it's less processed. Anything, and if you're taking notes, please take notes. Feel free to fact check me, open up another tab, Google. I love that because that helps me learn as well. Anything that is white that we consume has been over processed. If you look out your window at the trees, the grass, the sky, nothing naturally occurs void of color. Okay. So sugar cane, flour. Notice there are two versions of flour, or more versions. There's the all-purpose, all-white flour, and then there's the wheat, the sourdough, and those. Those are less processed. So anything that you buy off the shelves that is void of color is over processed. So the Himalayan pink salt is better for you. Now, I don't have any salt in my home. I have kosher salt that I use for canning and sometimes for baking. But outside of that, I don't use salt on my food. And we'll get to how and why. All right. So those old habits that we have on the left-hand side can lead to the diseases or ailments on the right-hand side. High blood pressure, high cholesterol, poor circulation, indigestion, and clogged arteries. Last week, true story, I have a cousin, Sandra, who she's a ball of energy, 61 years old, you know, paints, redoes basements, builds decks with her father, who's 85. They've never worked for anybody. They've worked for themselves down in the northern neck of Virginia. And she had a heart attack. Her diet consists of Mountain Dew, bacon, and anything crab or shrimp. You're like, oh, okay. I'm talking to you all, so I have to kind of like think for you all. You're like, that's probably what she primarily eats. No, that's what she eats. 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks before she had a heart attack, she put the Mountain Dew down and started drinking water. And she blames her heart attack on her water intake, her newfound water intake. Now, sometimes when your body is used to running on something, when you take it away, there can be adverse effects, even if what you're taking away is something that has been harming your body. But your body has been using it so long that it's become used to it. So I can't deny or confirm her allegations about when she stopped drinking the Mountain Dew, she got sick. But that happens sometimes. So even if you are drinking the Mountain Dew or eating the butter and your pressure and everything is fine, at some point, your past will catch up to you and you will develop ailments that will ultimately lead to a less productive life. If you have a car that takes 93 gas and you put 87 gas in it, will it run? Somebody come off mute and say, will it run? Will it run?
It'll run, but
talk to me.
It'll run, but you also may be, your car may be then subject to, start and stop, or not being able to perform
Exactly.
as well as it should with the proper grade of gasoline.
Correct. It was suggested, the manufacturer's suggested gas for that car is 97. For optimum efficiency and performance. So we may be able to eat coconut cake on top of greens seasoned with fatback, yeah. But our engine, our body, our temple is not running at optimal levels. Yeah, you'll survive, but your quality of life may not be what it is. Okay, now, what's on your list? This is the first thing that popped into my mind when we're talking about indulging responsibly, if you will. All right. There's going to be a lot of eating over the next 6 weeks, a lot of celebrations. All right. But one way that you can take a lot of the bad stuff out of your food is by roasting your vegetables. How many people have roasted their vegetables or like to roast their vegetables? Let me tell you why you should roast your vegetables. Roasting your vegetables draws out the natural sweetness of the vegetable.
Chef, may I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so the chef asked, how many of you have roasted your vegetables before? If you've done that, put a 1 in the chat. Let's see what we're working with here. If you've roasted vegetables before, put a 1 in the chat. Okay, okay, chef, they're
Nice.
coming. The ones
I
are
see
coming.
them.
All
I
right.
can't see the chat, but I see the numbers going up. So
Okay.
thank you for that. Feel free to keep doing that.
Okay, very good. All
So
right.
now we have to go back a little bit. There was a time when we could not stand over the stove and watch our food cook. Okay. Everything was boiled. Yes, right. Growing up, some of the more wiser participants, everything was boiled. All right. That's because we didn't have a stove that we could stand over because we were working for someone else. But now that's an old habit. Because the fruits and vegetables were boiled, what did our forefathers and foremothers do after the food was cooked and we ate? They would drink the liquid that was left over because they knew that all the nutrients had been boiled out. Quick story. I used to hate Brussels sprouts. I was like, why are they serving us these bland little cabbages? Ugh, nothing on it. But, those are our parents. They were doing the best that they could with the knowledge that they had. And they did, they weren't professional cooks or chefs or anything. So when I got older and found out that you could roast Brussels sprouts and turn them a nice char, which we all love that taste of char. That's why we love cookouts so much. It's that charred taste, all right? And that high heat that brings out the natural flavors. Or you can saute it in balsamic vinegar, which is good and detoxifying for the cells. Or you can add onions and garlic and ginger, which help with the flow of blood through your veins and your arteries. And they add flavor. So let's look at roasting vegetables. We're going to learn how to roast vegetables today. Roast your vegetables. Root vegetables like potatoes, parsnips, sweet potatoes, and carrots are old standbys when it comes to roasting. But take a look through your crisper drawer and you'll find all sorts of roasting candidates. From crucifers like broccoli and Brussels sprouts and cauliflower, to surprises like zucchini, onions, bell peppers, and cabbage. Even tomatoes can be roasted. Has anybody tried to roast any of the items that are listed there? I want to hang out here for a minute because roasting vegetables is an easy way to cook your vegetables and it doesn't take much time. What you have to...
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
There are a number of people who answered in the affirmative to your question. Yes, there have
Awesome.
been. Would you like them to perhaps come off and talk about which ones?
Sure, I want to know about their experiences.
Okay, there's someone in the chat who says, I roast my bell peppers and tomatoes and onions. Okay.
Say you're making a guacamole. Guac, everybody loves guacamole for the most part. You roast your vegetables and then cool them down and then add them to your guacamole instead of just going, the onions, the peppers, the cilantro, you straight on in without cooking. Whole nother level of palate experience because you've extracted some of the sugars from the vegetables, and now you're incorporating that into the guacamole. Another thing that I like to roast, sweet potatoes and squash. It's the fall season. Squash is everywhere. zucchini, acorn, butternut. There's just a plethora of squashes everywhere. Get those squashes instead of, the white potatoes sometimes, and roast them. They almost taste like candy if you roast them to a certain point. Garlic is also great roasted. Let me tell you how to roast garlic. You have the flat end, and then you have the top that comes up, the bulb. You cut the bulb off, exposing the garlic, and pour some olive oil over it. Wrap it in aluminum foil, 450 degrees, 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Let it roast. Take it out, let it cool, and then every time for the next 2 weeks that you need garlic, you take a clove out and squeeze it. The roasted garlic will come right out, and you have a heightened garlic experience for whatever you're cooking.
That is excellent. Someone in the chat, let's see here. Dimitri said, I roast tomatoes once to bring out the guacamole. I'm sorry, the glutamate flavor for a burger.
So now,
Sounds good.
when you buy in bulk, you can save a lot of money. So I don't know who has a Restaurant Depot card, BJ's, or Costco, or Walmart, or whatever. But when you buy a case of tomatoes, what we have to get back to as a culture is canning and freezing and saving. You can take 25 tomatoes, put them on a sheet pan, little olive oil, and stick them in the oven and leave them and go do something else. Come back, let them cool. Put them in a big container and blend them down with some of that garlic or some dried spices and make a spaghetti sauce that would make you never want to go buy a canned spaghetti sauce again. And it's really with little to no effort. But we have to make time for ourselves and our health. The only reason supermarkets survive is because we work hard. And that's by design. If you've ever noticed, what's one of the smallest sections in the supermarket? Produce. Everything else in produce. This is how I shop. And I would ask that you adopt this principle. Shop on the outside of the aisles. Don't go in the aisles for anything. You can do it. Because if you can do it, it goes like this. You make a right and you go to produce and flowers. You get to the back, then you got seafood and meat all on the back. Then you have dairy. And then you have a bakery section. And then you come right back around and there the registers. Over there, somewhere on the end caps, you got soda and cookies to entice you down the aisles. But if you just shop on the outside, you'll have a better, more healthy experience. Try it. Now, I'm how to roast vegetables. When you roast vegetables, we, as a culture, sometimes, who here is scared to cook above 350 degrees? 350 degrees is the factory setting on all stoves. That is not the highest setting or the suggested setting for all cooking. But for some reason, that's where we cook everything. Have a good one. So when you're roasting your vegetables, you want to cook high heat, 400 degrees Fahrenheit and up. Okay. You want to use a low-sided metal sheet pan. If it's too high on the sides, what's it going to do? It's going to hold moisture and your vegetables are pretty much going to steam. The lower sides let the moisture escape faster. The higher heat makes it evaporate instead of just bubbling and simmering. It gets the heat up fast on the liquid and makes it evaporate. You don't want to crowd your sheet pan. Too many vegetables doesn't allow for air to circulate through the vegetables and allow for that moisture to evaporate. And you want to use a high temperature oil, not olive oil. Olive oil is actually supposed to be consumed, as a dip or salad dressing or for bread. You put a little salt and pepper in a very good olive oil and you dip it in, your garlic bread or something. Somehow we've figured, since it's an oil, that we can use it to, fry things. And it meaning olive oil has a low temperature point, a smoke point. So if you've ever tried to fry with it, it smokes and then turns dark and gets rancid quickly. If you're going to use olive oil to do something, it should be to sear meat. Okay, that's to get the brown on the chicken breast real fast, 2 or 3 minutes on each side. And then you take that same chicken breast, because you have the color on both sides now, and you finish it in the oven. Okay, now here's some key points to roasting vegetables. You already know about the heat and oil and the type of pan, but uniformity is important. Okay. If you have a big piece of squash and a little piece of squash and they're both in the oven at the same time, which one cooks faster? The small piece of squash. Which means if you're going to keep both on the same tray, by the time this one is done, this one's burnt. Well, by the time this one's done, this one's not cooked. So you want to cut your vegetables to pretty much the same size. So having a good knife set is going to be important. Now, not necessarily a set. You can get one good knife. There are some great knives out there. TJ Maxx, At Home Store, Burlington, Marshalls. Not that colored pack. Anybody ever buy that colored pack at Costco? They're really thin, they're really sharp, but you try to cut something and it took a notch out of it, right? They're really, really sharp, but they're not built for the long haul and heavy duty cutting. All right, so uniformity, you need a good knife. You also need a good cutting board. Not the little one. That's not enough space and it moves around. You need a nice size cutting board. Okay, and here's a trick. How many people have a cutting board that moves around on them when they're cutting? Hands up. Let me see that number in the chat go up.
Put a 1 in the chat if your cutting board moves around. Or raise your hand. Okay.
Or raise your hand. Or come off mute. Or turn your camera on. Everybody turn your camera on. I can do it because Doc, not you.
Oh.
You don't count.
Okay.
I can talk to a blank screen because I've been doing it for 20 months now.
Okay.
And I'm used to it. However, I don't want to.
Yeah.
Come on, Demetrius. Come on, Namdi.
Well, as they're putting their cameras on, there's a couple of questions.
Sure.
You're raising some questions in the chat here.
Awesome.
So you talked about the different types of oil. A couple of our participants are recommending grapeseed oil and coconut oil. And then someone is asking, what about the spray can oil? Is that good for roasting?
No, the spray can, think about it. That is compressed air manufactured, not really built for that. I stay away from those things. I do. I try to stay away from man-made things as much as possible. The way I'm able to do that is because I have great knives and great cookware. I don't get paid by these people to say this, but the Ninja Never Stick food cookware line is amazing. It rivals the Hinkle, the All Clad, you know, those $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 lines. And you can get that line for about $340. Sounds like a big investment, but trust me, if you add up the number of pots that you've thrown away or burnt up or mistakenly scoured the cover, this non-stick off of, you've been past $300. You've been past $300. Now they have a non-stick coat and they almost function like cast iron. So they're almost indestructible. And I got a pair, you know, this is how it happened. I bought it during COVID. Late night commercial, got me. Credit card was right there. Commercial came on. Somewhere in my delirium, I said I must have them. And it turned out to be the best thing I bought over the COVID season. All right. So we want to get back to uniformity. We need to cut our vegetables the same so that they will cook the same at the same time. You want to roast vegetables that have similar density. Hey, how you doing? Demetrius, does a sweet potato and a zucchini have the same density?
No,
Which one is more dense, sir?
the sweet potato will be more dense.
Exactly. So naturally, you wouldn't want to cook those on the same pan because that zucchini is going to be, you know, wilted and just, you know, mush. So if you're going to cook vegetables together, you would do something like the sweet potato, the carrot, you know, the squash on the same. And then you would do the zucchini, the mushroom. The bell pepper might be a little bit too dense, you know, for that. So you can roast similar vegetables of similar densities together, or you can roast them in stages. All of the sweet potatoes, all of the peppers, all of the onions, and then mix them together once they're all roasted. They don't all have to cook at the same time for them to have the same flavor. Okay. All right. So that's roasting. Now here I have, and I'll send this over to you, Doc, so that you can share this out.
Okay.
That's just a roasted vegetable recipe. Somebody like to read that for me, please? And that's any roasted vegetable, nothing specific. It's just that's the process.
So the participants put their email in the chat, so I'll just go ahead and email that once you send it to me. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
Okay.
Awesome. Awesome. So you'll have that. And then this is the next phase. Okay. Because you all are so awesome and I am totally dedicated to, you know, wellness and changing the narrative in our communities, I have shared Coleman is my middle name. So that is the recipe for Coleman's Classic Collards. Okay, you can substitute mustard greens or kale with them. All right, or any mixture. All right, But that's the recipe right there. And those are the instructions. So what did I pull out of, probably your family's recipe? The pork, the fat back. Okay. Right. Look, we got some people over there. They're laughing, but they're gonna eat greens with fat back in it. And they're gonna remember that I said put some smoked turkey in. Yup, she said, oh, nasty. See, I'm getting more audience participation here than over here. See, come on now. Come on, y'all want to be on the video? See, look at that. They want to be on the video. So I'm teaching the class on healthy eating during the holidays. I don't know this. This is so organic. This is live TV, ladies and gentlemen.
How are you?
What is your name?
I'm Kennedy.
Kennedy,
Portia.
and you're
Portia.
Portia, and you all,
We attend Academy of Health Sciences at University of
okay. So you all are what? Freshmen, sophomores?
Sophomore.
Sophomores. So we're doing a healthy wellness class on how to make Thanksgiving healthy.
Right.
All right. So here is the recipe. You see, there's no salt in it.
Right.
And then you have the smoked turkey.
Yes.
Smoked turkey is going to give a smoky flavor to the greens,
Right.
and it's not going to be salty.
That's gonna be good. Yeah.
Right. That's going to be good. So you know what? When I finish, I'm going to get your email addresses and I'll email you this. And,
Yeah,
you,
yes, I'll come along.
And-
Yes.
and you all execute it.
Yes.
Just like everybody there. I would like for you, if you can, execute this recipe, take a picture and post it and tag the Wellness Center and myself and tell us how you like it.
Yes, I will definitely do that. Definitely. Yes, definitely.
Well, thank you for laughing.
Thank
You all are awesome.
Thank
All right, I'll be with you in a minute.
Yes.
Excellent. And we'll go even a little further and say anyone who posts it will get a gift card.
Anybody who posts it will get a gift card.
That's right.
Love it. Love it, Doc. You know what, Doc? We need to set aside some time where we can just sit down and collaborate and
Okay.
get these things before we actually, yes. Love it. Okay, so now, those are Coleman's Classic Collards. Now, here we go. Here's the militant in me. He comes out at the end of every presentation. Okay, so now look. You should not be trying to figure out how to eat healthy during the Thanksgiving holidays. You should be eating healthy all year long and then eating whatever you want for those couple of 2 holidays. There's too much temptation and tradition to try to change people for a day or 2. I've gotten fussed at over the years. I mean, I've had aunts like stop talking to me saying, boy, you grew up on pork. Yeah, that was my Aunt Elsie, God rest her soul. And she just sucked her teeth and walked away in a huff. Like, he's not gonna eat my. Change your lifestyle for the year. That's where it happens. And then once people see you walking it, you won't have to talk it. Trying to change it just for a holiday season when everybody is, we're a little bit depressed because the sun's going down. We haven't been able to take a trip. We've been locked in the house. People need their comfort. So make this a lifestyle change, not a day change. Okay, and then celebrate your year by being able to eat and indulge in what you want, because everything is okay in moderation. Okay, but you can't eat Burger King all day, every day, or carry out, and then expect your auntie to not put pork in the greens. It's hypocritical. But it's also, we're going to take care of the physical, but we also need to take care of the mental as well. So, holiday recommendations, food intake. Opt for homemade instead of processed foods. All right. So go buy the sweet potatoes instead of getting the candy yams out the can. The candied yams out of the can taste like metal, which is why you put so much sugar and butter in. And guess what? You put the same thing in the candied yams that you put in the sweet potato. So sweet potato pie. So get rid of one of them. It's the same thing. They're the exact same thing, except one might have marshmallows. Instead of a whole lot of sugar, use some orange peel and some orange juice in your sweet potatoes. Anything orange is immediate energy for the body. All right. And it'll give it a different flavor and it'll liven it up. Any citrus livens up any food. All right. Exhibit some portion control. I alluded to this earlier. Everything is okay in moderation. All right. So don't overdo it. Eat a portion as big as the palm of your hand. Okay. This is the most important one to me. Snack wisely. During the holidays, you don't have that one meal. You have that food for days. And you eat a plate of that food for breakfast, lunch. Well, you probably skip lunch because you done slept through lunch because you ate that for breakfast. And then you eat it for dinner. And then you do it again. And then finally somebody says, no, put it in bags and freeze it, or put it in bags, and then y'all go out to eat, and then you eat something. You don't eat salads. This usually happens Friday, Saturday, right? Mm-hmm. So snack wisely. Try not to get off of your regular routine. Eat good portions and slow down during meals. It's not a race. Digestion starts in your mouth with chewing. The more you chew, the less your stomach and digestive enzymes have to do. But if you chew once and then swallow, you got a big hunk of food in your stomach. And then the enzymes have to come down and it takes them longer to digest it, which is why you feel so heavy right after you eat Thanksgiving dinner. You're not chewing and you're rushing through it. Slow down, chew your food. Now that exercise, I don't know if you all are old enough yet, but sometimes you have holiday anxiety. I don't know, your cousins that broke your last toy when they were over there, they're coming over and you don't want them to, or an auntie that you don't like, or a cousin or something, or mama acts weird when her sisters come over because she's the baby and she got older sisters and they treat her, I don't know. But during the holidays, sometimes there's some anxiety that people develop. All right. And you want to fight that because that's the mental part of it all. Okay. You want to take a walk after dinner. All right. Work off. Let that food digest. Your digestive system is a line. All right. So if you sit down, if there's a hose that's straight, the water will flow. But if you bend it, yeah, it'll still flow, but where it's bent, it's not going to flow as freely. That's the same thing with your stomach and your intestines. Usually you eat and you sit down. Your stomach leads to your intestines. So if your intestines in the lower half of your body. So if it's bent, because your stomach's right here and it's full, it's not flowing through. So there's a blockage. So take a walk 20 minutes after dinner. All right. Do not forego your regular exercises. If you regularly exercise, don't take off during the holidays. That's the wrong thing to do. You keep up your regimen. Another thing, try to stick to your regular sleep schedule. Yeah, I know people are going to be over and, you're excited to see them, but it's harder to get back on your sleep schedule when you have those long breaks from what you normally do. It usually takes you 1 or 2 days to, kind of like recuperate or get back on your schedule. Okay. And finally, control your stress levels. It's okay to say no to something as long as you aren't belligerent. It's okay to say, no, I don't want to go. Life is all about choices, and you do not have to engage if it makes you feel uncomfortable. I like to get personal in my talks because personal shows that you're human and that you're not some superhero who comes on and tells people what to do and then stands on a mountain with a cape. No. I have a colleague who's an email gangster. Want to type everything. But guess what? Won't say a word. Won't say a word to you, but loves the email. So, hey, Chef. So, you know what I do? I like to engage with people. Okay. So I don't answer any of the emails because adults should be able to talk and converse and have a difference of opinion. But as long as we're on the same team and we're working towards the same goal, hey, there's more than one way to skin a cat, right? You have options. You can say no, you can say yes, but if it makes you feel uncomfortable, don't go or don't do it, whatever it is over the holidays. Ladies, come over and type your email address. So those are my recommendations for the holidays. All right. You have my Instagram, and I've done 52 quarantine kitchens. When COVID started, I had to find a way to share my gift with people, and I started doing virtual cooking lessons. Doc, I think maybe we should do one of those. What I would do is I would email you the recipe, say like the collard greens. Everybody would source that, have it at their homes, and then we all cook together.
Oh, yes. Yes. Okay.
And I have a plethora. I mean, awesome. You all have a great holiday. I mean, holiday cookies, the cutest group, bunch of second graders over at an elementary school in Northwest DC with their parents, of course, made buttermilk biscuits and fried chicken.
Wow.
It was the cutest thing. And then I've also done something for like Mocha 42. They're like the Eastern Stars. These are women, 65 plus, who wanted to learn how to make a professional omelet. With Miss Jackson, I've done videos for the American Heart Association, and an 8-week course with churches and things like that. So from a second grader to, an 80-year-old woman and everybody in between, I have something of interest,
Excellent.
So
all right. Well, yes,
thank you for this time.
There is a question in the chat asking about, actually they're asking, can you please share your IG handle again?
Yes. It is. I will put it in the chat.
Okay, thank you. Great. And then everyone submitted their email, so that's great. watch your boxes because you'll be receiving something from the Wellness Center.
Hold on, let me see if I can get it. I might be able to.
And then once we click off, a survey will pop up. So if you could take the time to fill it out, I think it's 5 questions. So for the participants, if you would take the time and fill that out, we would appreciate it. Thank you. Okay. So,
Doc, did you just
all right.
get?
Yep, you just sent me something. Thank you. Got it.
Okay, I sent it to you. I wanted to test it to you first so that you have it. Now
Okay.
I'm going to send it to everyone, but please feel free to go ahead and email it as well.
All right. Thank you. Okay, let's see.
Now on my Instagram, send me your questions or whatever. You might have a grandmother who blah, 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 and you need a suggestion. You might be dating somebody and you want to do a fancy meal. You might want to do something because it's your parents' anniversary. You name it. I've pretty much done it.
Okay.
And am willing to share and excite others for what has been making me a living for the last 10 years and has been a passion of mine since I was 5, growing up watching Julia Child. So
Okay.
there's no question that won't go unanswered. Okay, so feel free, whatever it is. Ratio of cereal to milk, I don't know. Go ahead and ask me. Okay. It's what I do, and I want other people to join me in this quest. Changing lifestyles is what I do. We need to change the story. I encourage people to become farmers. We came, we created, and then we were pushed out of our creation. We do that. We do this. We were the farmers. We had the know-how. And we were systematically pushed out of what we knew how to do by the allure of the city. COVID proved that the allure of the city isn't that great. It's about safety. And there aren't enough brown people in the world producing food. We cannot expect anyone else to give us their best. Farming is God's work. It is the work of the Creator. And we need more of us doing it here and in Africa. That good government job, if you making that much money, somebody else is making a whole lot more. And you're stressed, and all you're doing is using that money to pay for products that are not being created by people that look like you. So you're making the money and you're sending it right back out immediately. How you doing, bro? I have 4 minutes for questions, please. Agricultural sciences, micro.
There was a question in the chat asking about, let's see here, something about pork. Let me find that. Are pork products over-processed?
Yes, absolutely. There was a time in the world and in this country where when you only ate meat on Sundays, the rest of the week you ate from the garden and you ate vegetables. Access has led to disease. Now we have to have meat with every meal. Because we have money, and access we feel like we should have. But there, there may be one or two of us on this call that remembers when you only ate meat on Sundays. And then if there were anything left over, you may have had some hash or some sandwiches on Monday. But the rest of the week, But now we're not even eating meat. We're eating genetically modified or engineered meat. KFC had to change their name from Kentucky Fried Chicken to KFC because they don't sell chicken anymore. And that would be false advertising. Hear me, people. Some of you may not have been born when that change happened. But it used to be called Kentucky Fried Chicken. Now it's KFC. But because we've been conditioned, most people don't even realize that that was made so that they wouldn't get sued for selling a product that they said they were selling. It's not chicken anymore. Not wholly. A chicken breast this big, you can cut it into fillets and feed 5-6 people of one chicken breast. Facts.
Someone
Now
is challenging you
go ahead, come on.
on what you've expounded in terms of the Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Awesome.
They said, how do you know that?
Google it. How old are you? You're 15, 20? I'm old enough to be your father. All you have to do is Google it. See, that's another thing. You all are an amazing generation. Fearless. Raised by people my age and older. And we were raised by this thing called hip hop. When it was all positive. And it was Afrocentric. What you all listen to today. So your parents are us. And we raised you all. And you all are fearless. But they know what controls you. So bad music has been pumped into your system. Because if you had what we had, music-wise, oh God, there'd be no stopping you. And really, there's no stopping you now. Let me tell you what happened. We were raised by people from the civil rights era. Right? People in my age group. Then we had that positive hip-hop, which hey, how you doing, Chef? Which sent record numbers of us to college. Record numbers of African Americans and brown people went to college in the 80s and 90s. Record numbers. Because of that music. And because we were raised by the civil rights people. But then they realized that that music had to stop. Because if you all had the music that was Afrocentric, this internet, which you all use entirely wrong, and your fearlessness, it'd be a wrap. Now, let me tell you why you use your internet wrong. I'm a forever learner. If I don't know it, I want to know it. Just so I can have an intelligent conversation with somebody so that they'll tell me more.
Chef, we only have a few more minutes before our time. Yeah.
I know.
Sometimes it'll cut off on me if I don't.
So listen, everybody, thank you for your time. Doc, thank you for the invitation. Always a wonderful time. Let's try to do something hands-on. Invite them on over here. Let's connect the dots. You've been over here. You know we have 5 kitchens back there. Let's do it live next time.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Okay. All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, give yourselves a round of applause.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And if you enjoyed this, put a 2 in the chat for our chef. Let's give him a 2. Oh, look at the 2s just coming. All right, very good. Oh, someone just
be
gave
safe.
you a 22.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Be well, be safe, peace and blessings to you and your family over the holiday season. I hope that I shared something that you can incorporate into your life. Be well.
Definitely. Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you
Thank
to
you
all of
all.
our participants. Like I said, watch your email, and if you will, please fill out the survey that will pop up. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome. Have a good day.